It's Tuesday, May 17th. This is The Gateway. I'm Wayne Pratt. To one composer and vocalist, old folk tunes offer the chance to make a very personal statement.
It's a very empowering feeling, I must say, to get up there and literally shout what is in your heart out to the world.
Coming up, St. Louis Public Radio's Jeremy Goodwin speaks with Annika Socolofsky about the nursery rhymes she has retooled into feminist anthems. Coronavirus continues to spread rapidly in the St. Louis area. About 50 people are testing positive for the virus per day in St. Louis. That's a 25% increase compared to the previous week. The case numbers are even higher in St. Louis County, where about 270 residents a day are testing positive. County Executive Sam Page says people are at a much higher risk of contracting the virus than a month ago.
This is not a cause for alarm, rather a reminder that COVID is still very much among us, and there are ways to help prevent catching it, spreading it, and getting very sick from it.
Page says county officials are, quote, a long ways away from reinstating mask mandates and other public health restrictions. He is urging people to get vaccinated and boosted if they haven't already. Some St. Louis area residents are using social media to find baby formula. That's after supply chain disruptions and recalls have created a national shortage. As St. Louis Public Radio's Shayla Farzan reports, a parent in Jefferson County has created a virtual swap group to share baby formula.
More than 40% of baby formulas are out of stock in U.S. stores, based on data from thousands of retailers nationwide. Joanna Busby founded the St. Louis Formula Swap, a Facebook group that helps parents find and trade baby formula online. Speaking on St. Louis on the Air, she said the formula shortage is serious because not all mothers are able to breastfeed.
I'm a first-time mom, so just being a new mom in general is really hard. Anxiety really hits when you have a newborn. And so then just the worry of not being able to feed your baby just exponentially makes it worse.
Missouri health officials have warned parents that using diluted or homemade formula can be dangerous for babies. I'm Shayla Farzan, St. Louis Public Radio.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has announced roughly $10 million to help shore up reproductive health care services in the state. About half the funding is coming from the federal government. That's after the Biden administration reversed a Trump-era rule that banned clinics from referring patients to abortion providers. The program helps pay for sexually transmitted infection testing, cancer screenings, and reproductive health care for primarily low-income people. Nearly 100 family planning clinics throughout Illinois are part of the initiative. Despite an early end to the legislative session, Republican lawmakers in Missouri passed some of their priorities, including changes to eminent domain. St. Louis Public Radio's Rachel Lippman reports.
Under the measure awaiting the signature of Governor Mike Parson, farmers whose land is needed for power lines would have to be paid at least 150% of fair market value. It also says that any transmission line constructed in the state would have to provide a certain amount of power to Missouri. Republican Representative Mike Hafner of Northwest Missouri says the bill is not an attempt to block economic development in the state.
But we will not do it on the backs of Missouri farmers, ranchers, and the Missouri agricultural industry.
The measure is a response to a long fight over the Grain Belt Express, a transmission line for wind power that will cut across northern Missouri. The changes, however, will not impact that project. I'm Rachel Lippman, St. Louis Public Radio.
St. Louis Zoo visitors will not have to make a reservation beginning next Monday. The zoo started requiring timed reservations in June 2020 to limit the number of visitors during the pandemic. More than 2 million people visited the zoo last year, making it one of the most popular tourist attractions in the St. Louis region. When composer and vocalist Annika Socolofsky listens to nursery rhymes and lullabies, she hears the potential for queer feminist protest. In her song cycle, Don't Say a Word, she reinvents this material as a passionate demand for domineering men to make room for other people to speak. She'll perform it with members of the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra at the Pulitzer Art Foundation tomorrow. St. Louis Public Radio's Jeremy Goodwin asked Socolofsky what ties the reimagined songs together.
Don't Say a Word is a collection of what I call feminist rager-lullabies for a new queer era. A lot of the songs that are on this program deal with queerness, some of them very, very directly, such as there's a song Who am I to say who I should marry? And it is inspired by an English nursery rhyme, Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Sailor. And the idea here is this is a clapping game that young girls would play, and they would fantasize about who their future husband would be. And especially as a queer woman and someone as a woman married to another woman, this kind of societally conditioned heteronormativity is something that was really hard for me because I had internalized homophobia within myself.
What if my husband is my husband is a wife?
Sounds like to you a centuries-old lullaby can be a protest song.
Absolutely, it can be. I mean, putting girls into these subservient roles is nothing new, right? This is a long, long fight.
Are there ways you like to use your voice that achieve what you're trying to achieve that there are people sitting somewhere who would say that's not the right way to do it?
Yeah, I use a lot of non-classical technique. I also do use some classical technique. So you'll hear some moments in the piece that are quite operatic, but you'll also hear moments that are very experimental. You'll hear me belting, which is kind of like a curated shout. You'll hear some death metal growling. Basically, the whole kit and caboodle is in there.
The title piece, Don't Say a Word, is one of two adaptations of the lullaby. Hush, Little Baby, Don't Say a Word, Mama's Gonna Buy You a Mockingbird. Your version is a response to the way some men responded to the Me Too movement.
There are so many men with so many opinions about the Me Too movement, and the first half of this song is just the word hush in a million different ways, going through a whole range of emotions. And in my mind, this was really my call to the mansplainers to please just shut up.
Hush, 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 hush.
And the way we talk about this can sometimes sound like an intellectual exercise, but listening to this song, there's so much emotion in your performance, it jumps out at the speaker.
Whenever I perform it, there's one moment in the middle of the song that gets very visceral very quickly, and every time I get to that moment, I break into a sweat. It's just because my whole body is in it. There's no other way to pull this off unless you're just completely committed in the moment. It's a very empowering feeling, I must say, to get up there and literally shout what is in your heart out to the world. And I recommend it, actually, to everyone to stand up and shout what you think. It's a beautiful feeling.
For you, I will buy a mockingbird who won't sing, a diamond ring with no string.
That was composer and singer Annika Socolofsky speaking with St. Louis Public Radio's Jeremy Goodwin. Our David Casares edited that report. Shula Newman is the executive editor of St. Louis Public Radio, a listener-supported service of the University of Missouri-St. Louis. Music by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur. I'm Wayne Pratt. This has been The Gateway.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.